Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakken af een jam.
Nebbig.
Verpoepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertut.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Can you hear me coming through the air tonight?
Yeah, we're doing it.
Hey, everybody!
Episode 33.
What's up? Jonathan Randall here.
I am Jordon Ferber.
Welcome to another exciting Jew-packed episode of American Jew.
Yeah, and exciting. We're getting crowned this week.
Finally,
Disney
is gonna have its first Jewish Disney princess.
Nice.
For reals this time.
For real. It took it took long enough.
And, Sarah Silverman was saying that her character in Wreck-It Ralph was the first Disney princess because she voiced her. And while that's lovely and that's great, there was no mention of that character actually being Jewish in the Wreck-It Ralph movies. But on this Disney Junior show, there is going to be an actual Jewish princess from Latino descent that's going to be part of the show for their crazy Hanukkah episode. And it's going to be played by Jamie Lynn Sigler from The Sopranos.
Right.
And she's going to be a Jewish princess. It's very exciting. This show is called Elena of Avalor.
That's what it's called.
I've never watched it, but I guess maybe we're going to have to watch it. She's a princess of a Latino Jewish kingdom.
Yeah, she takes over a magical realm, and that's where there are Jewish princesses, apparently.
Oh, only in the magical realm.
I guess. I don't know. That's what it seems like to me.
And it seems like they're Sephardic, too.
Well, so there's already backlash. I don't know. You read the backlash. It's like, well, we hope it's not just like...
Well, I don't know if it's that backlash, but one person is already kvetching about it and saying, because typically when there are, like, Christmas episodes, there's, like, the token Jew.
Right.
And that's it. But no, this is going to be like it's a Hanukkah-based episode.
Right.
So I guess all us Jews are at least going to get one present for Hanukkah this year.
And there's going to be apparently a very menschy prince, apparently. That's what they were saying.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to voice that.
Oy.
I wish I got cast in that role.
Well, then maybe they're still looking.
Well, while we're talking about Disney, I just want to bring this up. Disney recently acquired the characters of Marvel from Fox, including the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, and there's been some casting rumors about who's going to be cast as the X-Men, specifically as Professor X and as Magneto. And I heard that one of the people they want to cast is Denzel Washington as Magneto. And I'm a little troubled by this. I mean, I have no problems with like a person of color taking on these roles, but Magneto's one of the few Jewish comic book characters that we have. His origin story, starting off as a Holocaust survivor, I think is amazing. I mean, the first X-Men movie, the beginning of it that takes place at the concentration camp, is one of the best openings of any superhero movie ever. I'll even argue one of the best openings of a movie. It's just an incredible, powerful opening. And I don't want to lose Magneto as a Jew. I want him to be a Jew. I mean, hopefully he'll be a black Jew. I'm down with that.
I mean, I think that there were black people in Germany, I'm sure, that were killed along with all the Jews.
Absolutely, there definitely were.
They were harder to hide, I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
As well.
So maybe he won't be Jewish. He'll just be a black survivor of the Holocaust.
Right. I mean, I think.
I don't know. I want him to be a Jew. People are like, he's a white guy. He needs to be white. Like, I don't care. It needs to be white. If Professor X, he was not Jewish, let's cast him as an African American, whatever.
Well,
but and Denzel Washington would probably be a great Magneto, but. I mean, I don't know. Well, who else do we got in Jewish characters? Kitty Pryde?
Listen, I'm just saying these are fictional characters, so it doesn't, the whole Superman myth is basically, a lot of people draw the comparison to Jesus with Superman.
Created by Jews.
Created by Jews.
Just like Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, I don't like to be one of these, bitchers about, like, these characters. Yeah, they are all fictional characters, but we only have a few Jewish ones. I hope we could keep Magneto in the tribe.
Yeah, it seems like the most Jewish stuff that comes out of Europe these days is anti-Semitic. Like, even in sign language, we're getting...
my gosh, I love the country of Belgium, but we keep on... talking about how Belgium is super anti-Semitic,
right?
If you speak Flemish, I think like you have to be anti-Semitic. Apparently,
right?
Like it's crazy. So yeah, apparently the sign language for Jew in Flemish is a hook nose.
Yeah,
the hook nose.
Or they do a thing with the payas, I think, also.
I mean, payas isn't as bad as the hook nose.
Right.
Because the Jews do, some Jews do wear payas. Okay, I could do that, doing a little curl by your ear.
Right.
But the hook nose is insulting, I think.
I agree. I can't, because it's not that in American Sign Language. It's not that in other sign languages.
No, only in Belgium.
Weird that there are different sign languages.
Yeah, you think sign language would be like universal.
Wouldn't
It's
you
weird that in each country, like, so if a deaf person goes to Belgium, they may not understand, like, when people are talking about Jews.
Yeah, maybe it's just like, Canadian, French Canadian.
Is that the
It's a
witch from Snow White? What is that sign language you're doing right now?
It's a dialect,
Anyways, Belgium, get it together. I love you as a country. I love your beer. I love your waffles. I love it that you created the Smurfs. I do not like it that you have a hook-nosed sign language.
Oh, they created the Smurfs, huh?
Belgium created
Because
the
that's
Smurfs.
pretty anti-Semitic also. I mean, Gargamel is like a hook-nosed Jew that wants to turn all of the Smurfs into gold.
Wow. Well, you didn't have to go there with it, but I guess when you look at it like that, Jordan, it does sound pretty anti-Semitic.
That is crazy.
Well, speaking of anti-Semitism, some more kind of happened. They're arguing that it wasn't anti-Semitic. A council woman in New Jersey referred to a settlement as they Jewed him down.
Right.
They got Jewed down.
And she was saying, people were like, that's offensive. And she's like, what? No, but it's a verb. It's in the dictionary.
Yeah, Jew someone down is what she said.
It doesn't matter where it's printed as, where there's a definition for it.
No, people are saying it's more about negotiating and not I hate Jews. But, I mean, it's pretty inappropriate, I think, to say that no matter what.
Yeah. You can't use a racial slur as and claim that it's just part of the lexicon.
First of all, it's totally anti-Semitic. It's totally about Jewish tropes, about us being, stingy with money or being controlling with money. I don't understand how this person thinks anyways. I don't know if you remember this film, School Ties. Brendan Fraser, one of Matt Damon's first movies.
Right.
Brendan Fraser plays this Jewish person who's keeping his Judaism under wraps when he's in this, like, hoity-toity boarding school or something on some, like, football scholarship or something like that because there's anti-Semitism around. And I remember when people discover that he's Jewish, they're like, why did you hide it? That was bad that you hid it from us. And he's like, no, I knew it'd be a problem. And I knew it when I heard you guys talking about how one of the characters got a record. He said he Jewed him down. That movie came out like 15 years ago, and they're even saying that's anti-Semitic. Like, How dumb are these council people? Like, that is totally anti-Semitic. It's not a verb. It's not like they're like, oh, Jew down. Yeah, that's what we say. Hey, come to the Jew down. We're doing the horror. No. It's ridiculous. Shame on you. Shame, 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 shame. You know what? It's okay that she said it. Like, shit happens. People say things, whatever. Things slip out, mistakes. But I don't like this whole, like, oh no, it's a verb, like making excuses for it. Hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. I should have never said something like that.
Right? I mean, it's a verb. Yeah, okay. The N-word is a noun. I mean, there are definitely people use racial slurs as adjectives sometimes that it's not appropriate in any case. There are lots of phrases that people probably used to say all the time back in the day that we're not allowed to say anymore, and we won't say them here either.
No, we're not. And not just because we're hoping to get on SNL.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Israeli election, I guess. We should probably talk about that.
Elections in Israel. It looks like the corrupt right-wing Prime Minister Netanyahu might be at the end of the line.
I know it's a little crazy. I feel like he didn't think that it was going to come to this. He
orchestrated this apparently because he was afraid he wasn't going to have, I guess, the most Knesset seats, so he dissolved it. They had a second election that just took place, and I guess from what last time I checked, only 95% of the results are in, but it was not looking good in his favor. It looked like the blue and white party, Benny Gantz, it looks like he's going to take the lead. Netanyahu suggested that they would share power, and Netanyahu would go first, and Benny said no, that would not happen. He said he would be interested in sharing party with Netanyahu's party, but not if Netanyahu was in it. He wants Netanyahu out.
Well, before we talk about like this particular election, I don't really understand the whole Israeli government election thing to begin with. It seems like there are all these disparate groups around the country that have to have a 3.25% representation to get seats in the Knesset.
Okay.
And then whoever wins the election has to then build a government based on the number of seats that out of the number of, from the people that
so there's the different voices. There's the ultra orthodox people, there's the Arab voices,
right.
There's the blue and white party.
And so based on the number of seats that are available in this election, they said that in order to really have enough of the districts represented to be able to build a proper government, they needed 61 seats, and neither Benny or Netanyahu has 61 yet.
But Benny's winning.
Benny by a very small margin. It was only a couple of seats.
Well, I know Netanyahu's freaking out.
And Netanyahu is freaking out, and it's kind of funny because he went to Benny. He's like, "Hey, listen, Benny, why don't we just call it a draw, and we'll share all this." And Benny's like, "What? No."
Yeah, Benny basically ran on getting Netanyahu out.
Right.
And, Netanyahu is up on corruption charges for bribery. And, if he loses the prime minister's seat, he's not going to be able to expunge himself of the crimes. And he is a good chance he's going to go to jail. This is like, not only is he going to lose being the prime minister of Israel, but he's also going to become a criminal, which he is. And that's kind of crazy that, he could win and then he could help himself have immunity from these charges if he wins. I think that's even more of a reason for him not to win.
Right. I mean, I feel like it is distressing to think that that's one of the main reasons he wants to make sure he doesn't get unseated. But I will say it's ironic to see that this is like the second election in 6 months that they're having. They just had these elections.
They had it, and I guess Netanyahu wasn't happy with the results. And now they're doing it again, and I guess they don't want to have a third one. Israel has a president and a prime minister, and I guess the president said he doesn't want it to have third, even though apparently it's more of just like a ceremonious role. Netanyahu's corruption charges, I just want to say, allegedly, amongst other things, they include giving major media organization political favors in exchange for positive coverage. Talk about fake news. Yeah. And by the way, it's funny, Trump, him and Netanyahu kind of had this little jerking each other off thing going, now came out and it's turned his back almost to Netanyahu after these results. He's like, "Oh, we stand with Israel, not with any particular prime minister."
So, I mean, even that's also a troubling statement because ultimately, even if it's not Netanyahu, I feel like one of the other things that Netanyahu was running on, or a thing that he proposes, that he was going to annex more land for Israel from the West Bank, and that would essentially destroy any hopes for a two-state solution.
But being Netanyahu out, I think, is a good start. Listen, I'm not an expert in politics. I'm certainly not an expert in Israeli politics. But Netanyahu has been in office for nearly a decade. I think it's time for somebody else. It's time for some change.
I also think, I don't know too much about the whole way the Israeli election system works. So if anybody listening wants to educate us on that, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at AmericanJewPodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to learn a little bit more about this because it's hard to talk about it without knowing as much as we should, I think.
Yeah, all I know is that I want Netanyahu out.
Oh, boy. This week's Parsha.
Not as fun as last week's Parsha. Moses is getting ready to say goodbye. We are getting close to Israel. It's been the 40 years. It's a new generation. We're about to get in there. And Moses is like, this is the deal. When you get to Israel, this is what you got to do. This is, if you do these things, this will happen. If you do these things, the bad things will happen.
You think these are his last words? You think he's just repeating himself because he knows he's going to die soon?
Yeah, they're about to go into Israel, and he's not going. He knows he's not going. They're very close to
right, but I mean, do you feel like there's any foreshadowing in this thing? Do you think that it has that weight to it?
No, we've been waiting. Every week I'm like, oh, is he going to die this week? And he doesn't die.
Right, but you know this but if you're reading it for the first time.
It already said that he's not allowed to go into Israel. Remember, he pissed off God.
I know he's not allowed to go in, but that doesn't mean that he dies.
Well, we know he dies. We know that happens.
All right.
Right? We know Moses dies. I mean, unless you know something I don't know. I mean, have you seen him the other day? Maybe they should get him to play Magneto.
No. I'm just saying, we keep talking about how we're waiting for him to die. I don't know. I'm wondering if there's anything that we see in the actual writings that imply that that's coming.
They keep passing it on because of his death. They have mentioned stuff like that, like preparing, Aaron's son or whatever.
So maybe that's why he keeps repeating himself over and over again.
I guess, and he wants to be clear. Hey, the Jews have messed up so much. God has smote them and done so much horrible, evil stuff to them. I think he's really wants to get it in there. He's like, if I keep saying this over and over again, hopefully these Jews will get their shit together finally.
Yeah.
They're about to go to Israel. They won't get fucked with anymore by their own God, who's supposed to be the Lord and Savior.
I mean, so that's what it is. See, I feel like that's really what it's coming down to. He's not allowed in, so he's just hammering it over and over. Okay, listen. You're about to enter the land of milk and honey. Don't do these things. And make sure, you're still stay up with your prayers.
I know, milk and honey. I hope you don't have,
You spent 40 years in the desert, so you're the chosen people now. You can do it. And he tells you over and over again, don't fuck your family. Do not fuck your... don't have...
I love it. That's the part that, you really... this is the part that really resonated with me on this week's Torah portion.
But it's just ridiculous how often he says it. He says it in every all the times he talks about conduct. He just repeats that you're not allowed to have sex with your family. Don't have sex with animals.
Well, they're in the desert. I guess there's not a lot of people around. I guess they're just trying to get it wet wherever they can.
I guess we've talked about that it was a problem. They had to keep repeating it, but
I guess apparently it was a problem.
And then he says, it concludes with a thing about.
Well, it talks about how you have to give the first ripened fruit. You have to bring to the holy temple to give your gratitude to God. The parts that you have to give to the Levites or to the poor. Moses reminds the people that they are God's chosen people, and in turn that they have chosen God.
Right, and he basically says, now you're the Israeli people as you enter, and you have attained a heart to know, eyes to see, and ears to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what that is. What do you take from that?
Well, there's no hook nose in there.
He doesn't do the sign. Yeah. He gives... He tells the rewards that the people will get if they follow the laws of the Torah, and then he also gives a long, harsh account of the bad things, the illness, the famine, the poverty, the being kicked out of Israel that shall happen if they abandon God's commandments. So 40 years have come to an end. Jews are about to make it into the Holy Land.
I feel like there's definitely going to be third act problems in this in the upcoming weeks. Any good story, just when you're about to attain something. Bang.
More Jew, more problems.
That's when the problems really hit.
Oh, you think when things are getting good? Now the Jews are going to think, oh, everything's great. We're going to Israel. We made it. Piss off God. And he's be like, what'd you say?
Well, I'm looking forward to the death of Moses. And,
I'm not. Quick shout out. Netflix show Spy about the most famous Israeli spy, part of the Mossad in the 60s in Syria, played by Sacha Baron Cohen. It's on Netflix right now. I'm halfway through. It's really good. It's always nice to see Jewish representation, whether it's on the Disney Channel or Netflix. Fantastic. Check us out on Instagram at American Jew Podcast. Check me out on Instagram at Jonathan Randall.
You can check me out on Instagram at Beatnik Nudnik.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. Leave us a nice review. If not, God will do bad things to you.
Yada, yada, yada.